Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Maxwell again with another edition of Bring the Smoke. I got Dr. Dewey Smith, man, one of the greatest flipping minds of our time, not only just for ministry, man, but business and everything, man. I just wanted to go right. I don't even know if I want to go into the shenanigans, man. Let me just go on and ask him this, man. What you think about the Trump, man? I mean, I ain't saying it ain't real or nothing, but I just want to know what you think about the assassination and attempt, to the, I don't know, man.
Well, let me just say,
Walk carefully.
let me just say this. With politics, anything can happen.
Yeah,
With politics, anything can go.
anything.
With politics, you don't know if what you're seeing is real.
Yeah, I know, man. I just didn't know if they having an Dewey Studios or. I ain't know, baby. I know you do movies and stuff, so I was like, hold on, man. And they on the set. I ain't know, man. I ain't gonna say, man. I'm just tripping, man. Trump people don't kill me. I'm sorry. I know y'all crazy, but I just had to throw out there, man, because he do Dewey Studios, man. Is it Dewey Studio? What is it? I didn't made up a studio. What is it?
Dewdrop.
Dewdrop. Oh, that's dope right there, boy. Yeah. This Negro. See how that Dewdrop. Dewdrop that Trump movie. When you gonna Dewdrop? When is Dew gonna drop that movie about Trump assassination to me? You can make a whole movie on that one, bro.
Man, I tell you, it's something else, man.
Man.
My God, man.
This crazy, man. I don't want to. I was trying to get Jamal. He did all the daggone cliff notes on 2025, man. What do you think about this project 2025?
I think politics in itself is frightening. Where our country is, and when you talk about, it's been happening though. We've been listening to it. We've been listening to it since 2007, 2008 with the Tea Party. Now, to make America great again. If you just listen, you have to ask yourself the question, when you make something great again,
yes,
you're talking about going back to a particular place.
Exactly.
So you got to ask yourself,
What year?
what place do you want to go back to?
Wow.
And I think that's the. So tell me exactly what period that you call great.
Right.
Is this a result of Obama? Are you talking about the greatness of pre-civil rights movement, since they're trying to strike down those things? Plessy versus Ferguson, Board versus Brown versus Board versus education. What period are you trying to make us to revisit?
Right.
That's the question that you can't get answered. And I think Project 25 is really the fruit of Make America Great Again.
Yeah, you trying to take me back to strange fruit with Mahalia Jackson.
Where you want to go back to, man?
Jim Crowism.
And that's the frightening thing. And a lot of our people, even our people, are being deceived by that.
Right. And
Yeah.
I don't really like talking about politics really that much, but
Yeah.
but for some reason I just feel like there's a certain spirit behind this.
Yeah.
And I just be like, I get it. I get it when people say, they don't like the Democrats because they believe in same-sex marriages.
Yeah.
God give you free will.
Yeah.
Now, I ain't saying it's right because the Bible says I can only go by the template of what I hear or what I know and read in the Bible, because I do things I'm not supposed to do according to the Bible, so I'm not judging anyone.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to marry you because I don't believe I should marry you, but I'm not knocking your right to be married. Whoever you do, because that's between you and God. I don't got a heaven and hell to put nobody in.
Yeah.
But when I look at the Project 2025 and the certain rhetoric that Trump does as far as disrespecting women and the way they outlandishly talk about black people, I just be wondering how any black person vote for him. I mean, I don't know if I'm going, I know, you can tell me if I need to edit something, because my name ain't like your name, so I don't really care.
No, say what you got to say. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I just think, to me, it's just the whole, politics is dirty.
Very.
And it's really, in my opinion, the lesser of two evils. I'm not very excited about this election because when you think about these two candidates, neither one of them, for me,
Reverend,
are inspirational or motivational. So it's more so voting what you're against than what you're for. And I think a lot of what has happened now, I just can't believe, Donald Trump is something else, man.
Yes.
And, at the same time, people talk about Joe Biden and what he did with the 94 crime bill.
Yeah.
So people are trying to hear that against him.
Right.
And Hunter Biden don't have anything to do with his daddy. But the reality is, we got two 80-year-old men trying to run this country. So you talk about 350 million people, and this is the best we could do. That's the thing for me. That's like, what in the Hades is going on?
Yes.
Here, man? It's like, but so it's not really. I realize we are the kingdom. I realize as long as we're here, we got to live by some sense of order. Democracy, which I think has been threatened. This is the place where God let me live, and I got to be involved in the civic process. But if you ain't got God right now,
Yeah.
you in trouble.
You in trouble.
Because, man, I don't think neither one of them really personify or represent the best and brightest of what America has offered.
And it's like, to get to here, I believe racism is really what's tearing down the fabric of America. Well, really, that's what it was built on anyway. I mean, first of all, you go get people who you say not people, and you bring them over here, and bring them in shackles, to chain them up and put them in different places where you talk in different languages, strip them from their families to make sure they don't have any stability at all. When you begin to rise up, they burn up Rosewood. You begin to rise up, they tear down Tulsa, Oklahoma. When you begin to rise up, they build Lake Lanier over the thriving black neighborhood in Atlanta. When you begin to rise up, then they begin to tell a lady, take the black land from the lady and put a C&U right where the black lady was about to subdivide land to empower black people. And so they always say we need to pull ourselves up by our own bootstrap, but every time we pull ourselves up, you take something or change the rules. So if you don't have, a Dr. E. Dewey Smith or a Frank Reed, you know what I'm saying, or help me, man, going to Texas, man, Freddie Haynes, and and Bishop Paul Morton, who I mean, when y'all speak, man, y'all elevate people to a whole different level that supersedes the natural.
Yeah.
And people got to understand it's first the natural then the spiritual, but our weapons are not carnal, but the spiritual, for to cast down the strongholds, invade the imagination, anything that exalts itself against the armament of the living God. And so when you hear you see, I like the way cause this Negro he'll bring the natural, and how he called it, he said he'll bring the wasness to the isness.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? I know you Negro. I sit in the class. He said, you bring the wasness of the Bible to the isness of now. And so he'll take the context and make sure he relates it to where we are now, but then he hits the natural, but then still take it to a spiritual level. And right now, if you're not spiritual, you're not going to be able to make it with Trump nor Biden.
Yeah, you got to be, man. I think, for me, I think the last 4 years, what has happened through COVID, I think the leadership that Biden has provided, the things this man has accomplished, because he's not a sexy candidate and appears to be weak, but coming out of COVID, man, when I look at how some of the things that Trump did and how he handled it, it wasn't very exciting. You know what I mean? It wasn't very exciting. And I just believe right now that we got to pray, man, because our country is in trouble. It's going to be very interesting to see, after Trump chose his new vice president, all the Christian nationalists and evangelicals who want, Christ to be at the center, which Christ, for me, the challenge with that is I'm a Christian, and there's a difference between my personal theology and public policy. That's the whole difference.
Exactly.
You see what I'm
Free
saying?
will. Exactly.
So my personal theology, and the problem is, if you want theology to be the basis of public policy, whose policy you gonna use?
Yeah.
The KKK, who believe they were doing God's will, the people who want to suppress women, the people who still believe that blacks were cursed by God according to Genesis 9. So you got a million different theologies. So that's the challenge. The other thing that's interesting is Trump's new vice presidential person, Vance from Ohio, he's married to a Hindu. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the Christian nationalists and those who evangelicals parse. We want Jesus to be the center, but the vice president, because Trump is not a young man either.
Nah, you did it. He said we got two 80-year-olds. You did that dewdrop. You heard that dewdrop shade? We got two 80-year-old candidates. Both of them old.
So it's going to be interesting. How did they make the determination? Like, okay, this man's married to a Hindu. Well, she's American, so an American has a right to have freedom of religion or freedom from it. So I can't impose my religion on folks from a public policy perspective. Now, what I do in my church
Right.
is one thing, but we're talking about policy for America. And America is not led by the Bible, it's led by the Constitution. And the truth is, America has never been a Christian nation.
Yeah. Now if you could just the spirit of pride can tell you that you can own another human being, man. So you definitely were founded on capitalism.
It was more deism.
Right.
More founders were more deist than they were Christian, because nothing about the Atlantic slave trade
Was godly.
it indicates
Nothing.
Christianity. Are you kidding me? And so now they just use that as a weapon of the empire to control white supremacy and nationalism.
And Freddie Haynes will tell you that they weaponized the white Jesus.
Oh my
And
God.
that was his, you know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, was he white?
Oh my
You know
God.
what I'm saying? Or was he brown from the clay of Africa? You understand what the first human beings are? Then when they call us cursed,
Right.
you got all different shades and hues of black. So if you burnt face, I mean, I might be burnt face, but you light skinned. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, what is the curse? I mean, I read as well. They say, hey, he put his hand in his cloak, Moses, and his hand turned leprous as snow.
Right.
And then he removed it back in and became flesh again. So I don't know what is leprosy. Who was cursed? Is it the black or is it the white? Because the sun ain't gonna burn me up.
Well, listen. Well, man, the truth of the matter is, while we're not trying to lift up any racial superiority, we're also not racially inferior. The truth of the matter is, even science and geography has to authenticate that civilization started in Africa.
Yeah.
Garden of Eden, the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, the Blue and the White Niles. The reality when you talk about the gene pool and genetics and cultural anthropology, truth of the matter is, black is the only color that can produce every other color.
Yeah.
Every other color can come from black,
Every.
but no color can produce black.
Nothing.
Black can produce any other color because our genes are dominant. Other genes are recessive. You can get recessive from dominant, but it's impossible to get dominant from recessive. So that whole thing is to help us to understand that most of the Bible is not about Europe. It's the Europeanization, the Romanization, the Americanization, of Scripture. And when we think about it, we always have been there, but to this day and time, because of West, we've been made to feel less than, and that's also been substantiated by politics. And so here's what we are as a nation. And then the challenge is when we don't like ourselves, so we want to begin to look and act more like them.
Yeah.
And yet some of them want to look and act more like us. Thus, lip
Yeah, the
surgery.
I knew you about to say that.
And halogen in there, BBL, you name it.
Exactly.
So we're
Exactly.
beautiful
I'm from
people.
Wakanda.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
exactly, man. This country also weaponizes color.
Absolutely.
Because I remember the first time I went out of the country, the first time I ever went out of the country, I went to Jamaica when I was dating a Jamaican young lady. And I went there and I said, "Ooh, a white Jamaican." She said, "He's not a white Jamaican. He's just Jamaican." I'm like, "No, man, it's a white Jamaican. He right here." Oh, and the dude right here, I know he hear me,
Lord
but I was just like, "Man, I ain't never seen a white Jamaican before." It's like he's not white. He's just Jamaican. And I realized when I go to different countries, they don't call themselves by color. They call themselves Chinese. They call themselves Japanese. They call themselves Jamaican. We are the only country that distinguishes ourselves by color.
Wow.
You understand? And so it's weaponized. And I look at how I said racism is a weapon as well, because it helps. There's nowhere in the world, if we weren't a racist country, that either of them jokers would be running for president.
Wow.
We weaken our country so much because of racism, we don't understand it. Racism that's what allows jails to make mattresses. Because if we really want racism, we're beginning to pull together as people, period. We'd be like, hold on, why the jails making the mattresses and the street signs? We should be creating jobs, but they making them in jail for free, getting paid 3 cents. Because at the end of the day, jail is a place that's really legalized slavery. They can pay you 3-4 cents a flipping day for you working, because that's the only place that's really legalized slavery. So then you start seeing, again, I say this all the time, the balancing of the scale. They say just as you see the scales, one up here, one down here. They letting us know it's not equal justice. I believe they always really giving you clues and context and subliminal messages if you really pay attention. NAACP, we put the scales like this because we try to make sure we know it should be balanced. But in America, they letting you know we ain't trying to balance the scale.
Well, the truth of the matter is, I think we have to be honest with ourselves. And when you're intellectually honest, the truth of the matter is, the system is working for who it was designed to work for.
Oh, that's true.
It was never designed to work for us. As a matter of fact, the system, whether you go to the Constitution, 3/5 humanity, Plessy versus Ferguson, some of the slave codes, the system was designed for who it was designed for. Our expectation is, unfortunately, we think that this system was for us. If you look at the continental U.S., the U.S. Constitution, it wasn't written with us in mind. When it was written for the humanity and liberty for all people, they wasn't talking about us. So we're trying to superimpose a document of the original founders of this country to be flexible for everybody. Truth of the matter is, it's not. And so we still want that because we claim citizenship, but the truth of the matter is none of these institutions were designed for us.
Wow.
All against us.
That's right.
All against us.
All against us.
That's right.
Wow. But I look at Trump. I don't think there's a Trump if there's no Obama. I don't believe if Obama never won president, there's no way I believe Trump would ever became president. White people were so afraid, not all white people, sorry, racist white people, some evangelicals, those who were with, Southern Baptists or whatnot, or whoever else condoned slavery with the Bible in hand and the cross burning in our yards. It's just amazing how I just they were so afraid that this country was going to become too brown, and that's why they say "Make America Great Again." It's a dog whistle. The individual like, man, you need to put a white man in here, and I'm gonna make sure I make all the rules to put against him. I'm gonna stack the justice system to make sure that we are empowered and we can stay empowered, because the Republicans not gonna be able to stay in power long if it's fair voting, because people's mindsets are evolving and more people are accepting all types of people. You look at the different minorities coming together. You look at, again, we all fall short of whatnot. We all have problems. You see the homosexuals working with the blacks working with the homosexuals, because people that are minorities and are being oppressed are learning, hey, together we stronger than separate. And so really the only entity you really fighting is the majority system that was designed, by the white man.
I remember the Tea Party, the slogan was "Take our country back."
Yeah, I remember
Take
that.
our country back. 2008, Sarah Palin and a few others. So my question was always, take our country back from whom?
Yes.
At that moment, we never had a president of African American descent. We don't own anything of note when it comes to corporations. So take our country back from whom? Who owns the country? Take our country back. Who? So when you talk about the darkening of America in 2050, even some of the abortion opponents, a lot of that is not geared in some spiritual reason. It's because too many white folks are having abortions.
There, 'cause they have
and
more than
so
we do,
those
and they can
numbers on the
afford it.
decline,
Yes.
right? So I do think there's a fear of the darkening of America. I do believe that. Hence, let's have more restrictive guidelines and laws on who can come in for the South, but not from Europe. That's why we want to, even the President Trump said, former President Trump said, keep the people from the African S-hole countries.
Yeah.
Even when the COVID hit,
Yeah.
they want to put certain bans from certain people coming to the country, whether it be Asia, but none from Europe, very few from Europe. So the European restrictions from coming to this country are few and far between. Very, very rarely are they demonized, whether it be the Italians, who were responsible largely for the mob. You know what I'm saying? Whether it be the Dutch, whether it be the Scottish, you don't hear a whole lot of restrictions or bad these criminals, these rapists coming from Mexico.
Right.
Build a wall.
Right.
A lot of that is centered in immigration. A lot of that is centered around this whole reality that this country is becoming too it's too becoming too dark, and we're losing power. And so that's why we got to now put these restrictive voting rights and these restrictions on voting, because if they become too populated, we lose all our power.
But see, they started getting worried. Exactly, they started getting worried when they started seeing when you allow black people a foothold, how they do. Oh, you too dumb to be quarterback. Then black quarterbacks start winning the Super Bowl. Oh, you should stay in the pocket. Now you need a quarterback that can scramble, because that's the only way you can survive. And black people were the ones scrambling, and they tried to force the Michael Vicks and the Doug Williams to stay in the pocket, but outside of the pocket, they could break down the defense.
Yeah.
But you acting like I'm supposed to be something like how they used, remember they used to have war, they go out and be like, pal, you got to shoot in a straight line because you got to fight like a gentleman. Dude, it's a bullet coming at me. And people started doing the guerrilla warfare like, I'm not going to stand in line. I ain't got enough people to be fighting you. No, it's not legitimately. Dude, we ain't got but 5 people. We coming to kill you the way we can kill you. And then you got Tiger Woods with golf. You know, you start seeing black people when they get a foothold in things and start using their platforms. Yeah. LeBron, shut up and dribble, because you're using your platform. You're supposed to be a gladiator. You're supposed to be entertaining people. Then you got Muhammad Ali's that are up saying black is beautiful, black is proud, and they're using their platforms to change the landscape for black people and begin to let America know what's going on. So they were already scared. They saw us coming. So they said, take our plan back. Hold on, y'all got too many Negro quarterbacks now. Wow. You got too many black people playing golf. Now these little black girls over here playing tennis. What's up with this? Because when you look at America, how they try to hold black people back. Now, football, you probably should go to college because you're going to get broke off going to the NFL straight. But why is it that football, basketball, anything black, I got to go to college? Wow. What I need college to dribble a basketball for? I can go straight to the major leagues. I can go straight to play golf. I can go straight to do gymnastics. I can go straight to do tennis. I can go straight to do little hockey. I can go straight to do all those particular things that are predominantly white. But they feel like if they giving me something, I'm supposed to pay my dues. You can already pay my dues. I was enslaved for 400 years.
Wow.
You understand?
You know, I think it's so important, I think, the country, that we realize, you know, the original sin of racism and the violence. This country is built on racism and violence. And I think until we really own that, we wonder why there's so many violence and mass shootings in this country. It's in the DNA. Violence and racism are in the DNA of America. And when Tim Scott the other day said America is not a racist country, that's just laughable. I will say, however, that when you think about the civil rights movement, and even the Northern Baptists, you mentioned the Southern Baptists earlier, that started, that split, the Baptist Convention split over the issue of slavery. That I want to make sure that we do acknowledge that there were Jewish people and white people who were part of the civil rights movement, who I believe it helped to make the turn. I think when you look at Selma and Montgomery and Birmingham, Bull Connor and those things that happened with George Wallace in Alabama, a lot of the things really caught people's attention when white kids, Cheney and them, got killed in Mississippi.
Right.
And then the nation began to see just about the atrocities that were taking place. But it's going to take white people. It's one thing for the Dr. King or Vernon Johns or Adam Clayton Powell, people like yourself, to preach against racism. But we preach to our congregation.
Right.
It's going to take white people. The challenge of dismantling racism and systematic oppression in this country, and inequity, can't just be, we didn't create the problem.
Right.
We don't own institutions.
Right.
And unfortunately, a lot of our colleagues who are white, many of them are fearful of even having conversations about racism because they don't want to upset the apricot and equilibrium in their congregations. It's going to take the strength and bravery that we've seen exercised. When you go back to Nashville and, like, as I said, Birmingham and Mississippi, it took partnership with other ethnicities to kind of bring some of these. They had to go and get Lyndon Baines Johnson to sign that civil rights movement 60 years ago, you know, that we just celebrated a few days ago. But the challenge is not just going to be on the black church. We can't be the savior of the world. No. We need allies and partners, and I think that's why the white preacher and the white congregation had to step up and preach to their people.
Right.
And say, thus saith the Lord.
Right, definitely needed, man, because, I mean, you look at it as if you get bit by a rattlesnake, don't tell the doctor you got bit by a copperhead because you're going to die. Because part of the antidote is in the poison of the snake. So I need the poison from the rattlesnake if I get bit by a rattlesnake to cure me of the rattlesnake.
Wow.
And so if I don't have the white people who are part of that particular poison help me, I can't get healed.
Wow.
And if you look at the NAACP, it was started by a male Jew, a white lady, a black lady, and a black man. You know, so they helped us in that. There's no way Harriet Tubman would have been able to survive in the Underground Railroad if it wasn't white people part of the stops, because they needed them to help get them through and put them in the back of the carts, the wagons when they have the horses going, and help them, tell them which way is north and how to navigate, hide them under the floors of some of their churches. So it's definitely, you cannot do this movement alone, and that's what I love about King. He brought everybody together. But the thing about it is, if everybody just play their part, and people say, I remember I was in class at Georgia Southern, and the lady asked me, what do I agree with? Do I agree with the nonviolent way of King, or I believe by any means necessary of Malcolm X? And I said, both. And she laughed at me and called me stupid. I said, hold on. And this guy was laughing. I said, hey, can you win a game without pitchers? Can you win a game without quarterbacks?
Wow.
Can you win a game with all centers?
Wow.
Centers, I thought some of y'all might thought I said centers. Guards on basketball, can I win with baseball with all pitchers? No, everybody need to play their position.
Wow.
If Malcolm X didn't play his position, the voice of King wouldn't have sounded good. The only reason they went to King is because they didn't want the alternative of Malcolm X. I mean, the strategy of King was brilliant. He sent Hosea Williams through the neighborhood, sound all crazy, say everything wrong. Then he come back and say, I have a dream. Because he knew that he would irritate them so much. And when he came, they knew what they wanted to have. Malcolm X said, if y'all don't give King what he wants down there, we're going to come down there and help him do it a different way.
Wow.
And so they didn't want the alternative. King tried to go to Chicago and do what he do with the nonviolent. And when the Chicago people knew that he wasn't going to be violent with them, he was like, he was scared for his life for the first time, because they're like, oh, you ain't going to hit us? Okay then, you know? And so you a product, and you become a product of your environment, because your leadership grows within your culture, because then God begins to form you and contour you to be able to fight in that particular context. So I say all that to say this, yes, we definitely need white people. We definitely need images, man. I'm going to go to your movie stuff, because I'm looking at the images of movies, because me, I ain't never liked King Kong. I just ain't never liked it, because I feel like it was showing this big ape that I felt like they were trying to represent a black man looking for this white woman. That's all these people out here. He go get this white woman, he in love with this white woman. I just felt like Planet of the Apes, they're worried about Negroes taking over the world, and that's what they saying. It's subliminal messages, you know what I'm saying? And so that's why I'm glad, like, Dewdrops. I'm gonna call Dewey Studio. It's Dewdrop. I like that, boy. That joker, that know how to play on words, boy. You know what I'm saying? He a wordsmith, you know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? And his last name Smith, you know what I'm saying? God.
Well, he's so silly.
So what I'm saying is, man, like, what can, because a lot of times they demonize us because of the news. You begin to look at that when in New Orleans, white people got some bread in the war, the old white people found bread. And then the black people in the war, they say, oh, they looted. And they said everything with negative images. You look at the Cosby Show, I'm not saying he innocent, I'm not saying he guilty, but I know they really didn't hesitate to go at the legacy, because Cosby Show changed the landscape of black Americans, because more black people started going to college when they started seeing Heathcliff Huxtable. You know what I'm saying? They went to college when they started seeing, right, a different world. Yeah. And so I believe a lot of that, the imagery of our media, that's why I'm so glad God has you and planted you a kingdom man to be able to do movies, man. So what can the movie industry, what can we do in the different media to change the imagery of us?
Well, I got a two-fold. It's a very deep question, because images are everything. John Henry Clark did a survey once of young girls in the 50s, 60s about dolls, and gave black girls white dolls, and then gave white girls black dolls, and knit all of the black girls, they wanted to be the white dolls, because that's, the image that was on TV. That's the one. I remember buying my niece, they had some years ago, Cabbage Patch dolls. I don't know if they still make them.
Them was ugly dolls.
And I bought very popular. They did a lot of money. I bought a black doll, and she started crying. because she wanted the white Cabbage Patch doll because of the images. Consequently, I think that's also part and parcel of this MAGA movement, because if you notice the commercials now, you're gonna see more interracial couples on commercials than I've ever seen. White, if you watch, pay attention.
Yeah.
If you'll see even same-sex couples now more, whether they're selling medication or whether you're walking through the airport.
Yeah.
So it's more and more images about diversity. And now they got even transgender. So much is happening that it's like, well, oh, you know what I mean? Like, how far you giving transgender, men, they're men, but they want to play sports with well,
Yeah, I got
you understand what I'm trying to say.
I know what
they're
you're saying.
born
Yeah.
men,
Yeah.
but
you're not, you a woman.
you're a woman and you want to participate in basketball or swimming.
Mr. Policeman, my name is Willard Maxwell. I identify as a white man.
Yeah,
They ain't gonna let me do that. They still gonna shoot me if my hands up sometimes.
So I think the images that we're trying to still figure out, how far, with all of the pronouns, like that thing is causing even greater fear because it's so hard for us to wrap our minds around because Christianity, of course, is not monolithic, but it's like, how far do we go with this?
Yeah.
When churches now, you got transgender people want to come to church and have bathrooms that you got, transgender, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? They were born men, but now they're women, but they want to go to the women's bathroom. Like, wait, Mike, I got a daughter in there. So you see all this on TV, and it's furthering, I think, a lot of black folk who are religious to say, wait a minute, we're going too far to the left.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going too far. So the images of that, I think, are also causing us to feel like we're losing the country.
Exactly.
Because some of this stuff makes me even say, wait a minute, hold on, now wait, just like there are no more lines, right? So that's the images. That's one aspect of it. The second piece is when you talk about just black folk, whether it be news, whether it be a lot of the things that we watch on TV now that we call it trash TV, whether it's the Housewives or it's the Zeus Network. Most time it's catty women that's fighting, and it's women, twerking and and the stuff that we watch. Very, very rarely do you see positive, because people don't want to see. If it's social media, if it's a fight, in school, it's world star hip. So most of the stuff that we see, I think, is affected, whether it be how people dress, how guys act. You got young guys now who are 15 in Newport News in Atlanta, who are educated, who are smart, but don't want to be smart. They want to articulate. So it's for sure what's up, because that's what they think is cool.
Yeah.
So the images of videos, of movies, church, whatever it is, I think it's having an effect on society. And the other side of that story hasn't been told. We've normalized things that I think sometimes may not be the best healthy practices.
Yeah.
And we got to think through this thing, because it's like, okay, I know we got to work in the marketplace with different people who don't believe what I believe, but these images, I think, are causing a lot of duress and a lot of uncertainty, and fear makes people revert. So some people are going to go vote for Trump because if they homosexuality, transgender taking over, same-sex marriage, and abortion. They don't care anything else about how much I'm disenfranchised, or the laws, or the Supreme Court can pass something to make him a king, because he's a dictator now. Right. If he wins, he's king, Donald. Period. Right. And I doubt it if he's healthy. If he's gonna, the next move is going to be to try to get an amendment to the Constitution. Yeah. And if they control the House, they control the Senate. You got the Supreme Court. Don't be shocked if the amendment that limits presidential terms to, because that just came about with Roosevelt. Roosevelt 3 terms. That was an amendment. Don't be shocked if an amendment to the Constitution that gets rid of presidential tenure changes.
Yeah.
Don't be shocked. Don't be shocked if that happens.
I ain't gonna be shocked.
But a lot of people are gravitating to that because, and even this whole thing of image now. Well, I've heard some influencers, and I've had a couple conversations with guys. I like Trump because he relates to me. The po-po against him, man, and police trying to lock him up. I'm like, how ignorant.
Right.
So you can see a picture with Trump with grills in his mouth, and now he got shot at. So they identify, oh man, he's a fella. He's a fella. But think about it. when we grew up, there's no way a president could have been caught up saying, "You just grab a woman by the coochie."
Right. It's crazy.
That would have been the end
And
of the campaign right there.
better if you black.
But he said, "I can stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and get away with it," and I believe him.
Wow.
I believe him because I believe him.
And Obama made him by mistake.
Yeah. Well, and Obama roasted him at that event, and I think that coupled with that
gave him
that
some fuel.
that fueled him, and to the point where now, and unfortunately,
And they
because
gave him attention too.
and they put together an incredible strategy of people who believe the evangelicals, the fiscal conservative business people for tax breaks, the folks who don't like the business owner, folks who don't racist folk, the Christian folk, black folk who believe that abortion and same-sex marriage are wrong. He's put together, and white people. Lyndon Baines Johnson said one time, if you want to convince poor white folks to vote for you, just make them feel they're better than the richest black man.
See.
And so,
but you know how he got there.
He's touched different aspects, and they built a coalition.
Yeah.
That they give each person a piece of that puzzle, and with the vitriol and the strength, man, if we don't get inspired,
yeah,
he's gonna be president again.
And see, that's how
king, the new king.
Yeah. And the wild thing when you said Lyndon Baines Johnson, as far as they want to be taught, that's what they want to be important or better. And King, when he was in the Birmingham jail, he said, "Man, I was talking to the guards and the jail people and the workers, and I was like, man, you poor like me. You need to be marching with us." And he said the only reason some of them were resisting working with us is because he called it the drum major instinct. You want to be ahead of everybody. You want to look good. And so they say, I'm white, so I'm a part of this, so I'm better than you. You know, and he was like, it's a drum major instinct. Everybody want to be out front, but you're supposed to want to serve. But when you want to identify with somebody who winning, you understand? Yeah. Like, man, ain't nobody, see, well, this is a throwback, man, but I do. I was in here the other day, a few years ago when the Hawks were doing good, I was looking, I was like, wait, because anytime I see anybody wear Atlanta hat here in Newport News, I know more likely from Atlanta or Macon or Augusta or somewhere around because we don't win. So people don't wear our gear because we don't win. They might wear Braves because the Braves don't won. But they ain't won. They don't wear the Hawks in Atlanta. But I kept seeing all these Hawks. I said, man, there's a whole bunch of from Atlanta. I said, you from Atlanta? Like, no, you from Atlanta? I said, oh man, the Hawks doing good. Yeah, so they wearing the Hawks gear because the Hawks ain't that far away. Yeah. You could drive there in 8 hours, ride a plane in an hour and a half, and they wanted to identify with a winner.
The truth of the matter is, if you go to Florida, if you go to Texas, and other parts, Florida and Texas particularly, and other places, the irony is you got Latinos and Mexicans in Florida particularly, who are all pro-Trump.
And he the one telling them.
And at the same time, he's saying, I want to build a wall to prevent your people from coming from the South. They're rapists and they're criminals. I don't want you and those people in this country. And some of the language, and then he said, well, I want them to come here illegally. But just the language to me, and I understand legal citizenship, but the language and the vitriol that comes from that far right, but they don't identify as black. Yeah. They identify that they're white. Even though everything is about such a derogatory concept about Mexico or South America or Central America, but in their minds, they're not talking about us.
Wow, they're talking about the ones who didn't make it.
Yep.
Wow.
Even some Cubans, Latinos, a lot of Mexicans, particularly in those areas, they are staunch, even though the language is vitriolic and hateful toward people who look just like them.
A prestigious college had a Cuban as a president, and the owner of it was looking at him as white, and he was talking about Cubans and other people or whatever. So he ended up resigning. And they shocked them because in their mind, if you a good Cuban, but he was so adamant that, hey man, I'm still a minority. I'd rather walk away from this job than to keep this job. And it shook the world. Different preachers that were partnering around ended up leaving. People had mass resignations, but a lot of times, and then they had to come back and start using using me and other people to give discounts, to show discounts to get them in school. Like, hey, I give money for my people. I help you get in school to get a discount. People get mad at me because I get money from Southern Baptist. And a white lady telling me, why you doing that? You ought to be ashamed of yourself for going there. I said, you just like the master. You trying to tell me what I need to do.
Wow.
If master gives me free money and I'm free, I'm taking master money. Master money green.
Well, at the end of the day, it's all
master money build my church.
Listen,
hey, yeah.
it's all about resources and power.
It is.
Because when you think about this, Donald Trump called Ted Cruz's wife ugly.
Yep.
And now Ted Cruz, back when you grew up in Southwest Atlanta,
Yeah.
where I grew up
Yeah.
in Southwest Macon,
Yeah.
if a man called your woman ugly
Out loud?
on a microphone in front of people, at that moment, bro,
could be at a
it's
cookout.
on site.
It's right.
Yeah, there's nothing we ever can do to. There's nothing I'm gonna ever do to endorse you.
Yep.
Okay. A year or so ago, Amber Rose was fighting against Trump in the Supreme Court for taking a woman's right to abortion away. Right? Now Amber Rose is speaking at the Republican National Convention. J.D. Vance called him Hitler.
Yep. He did.
Called him Hitler.
Yeah.
Lindsey Graham in South Carolina said if Trump gets nominated, our party going. And now they cap it because at the end of the day, it's all about what's politically expedient and hold on to power and money.
money and power.
That's the truth.
That's
and
the-
so whoever's winning,
Yeah. The winner.
I forget my morals.
Yeah,
Forget
exactly.
my
'Cause
ethics.
it's all about the lust of the flesh.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The pride of life is those things the Bible warned us about, man.
Yeah.
It's all about power. You give me some money, I go there. How much you gonna sell your soul for?
And sadly, the reality, this is not just a racial thing. It's also ecclesiastical. Because our preaching and preachers, sometimes you can't tell the difference whether we're prophetic or whether we're prophets.
Yeah.
A
I got
prophet or prophet.
you. Right, I got you.
Are we gonna be prophets or are we pulpit pimps?
Yeah.
And so many of us use the gospel and come up with preaching just that we think is going to keep us in a certain ilk. So it's a spirit, as you just said,
Yeah.
that can be effective no matter what your political party or denomination or skin color is. It's a spiritual issue.
What's amazing is our people, the Kings and the Malcolm X's and John Lewis's and all those individuals who, Abernathy, who was willing, Andrew Young, willing to put their life on the line. We only had to put our life on the line. We scared to put our social media followers on the line. We scared to put our country club membership on the line. We scared of dying a political and popularity death when we had people who was out there not afraid of death itself.
Absolutely.
Romans 12 tells us that we need to walk as our body is a living sacrifice, which is your reasonable service.
Yeah.
This ain't your body. You don't own yourself.
Wow.
You don't own you. God owns you.
Yeah.
And if you selling out to the world, you are not sacrificing your body as a living sacrifice to God. If Jesus would die for you, at least you could live for him.
Well, the reality is, it's hard for Moses to prophesy to Pharaoh if he's on his payroll. So
Reverend.
that's why when we think about
Grants and stuff.
grants and those types of things, and like you said, the resources available, you can get money from Southern Baptist or whomever, but to prepare your ministry and do your mission.
Yeah.
Because even the Bible does say the wealth of the wicked.
It's later for the righteous. Is that what I was thinking?
So how can I get the corn out the fish's mouth to do what God has called me to do at the same time? How do I do that without selling my soul and my mission out to the God?
Because at the end of the day, your money give me these parameters,
Yeah.
but it ain't telling,
Yeah.
what I speak. But some people be scared to speak because a lot of times they getting it directly from the relationship of that particular person, man. But anyway, I know you got to preach and stuff, man. I don't want to hold you long, man. But just the stuff you do, man. Like the singing, man. How the album selling, man?
Well, we work. Actually, when I get back tomorrow, I got a meeting tomorrow, working on some more music that we're gonna release in October. So the first, I released my first project in 21, and of course won a Stellar Award in 2022.
Yeah.
and it was one of the top albums of 2021, 2022. Billboard #1 hit, top 50 album of the year, and so my first solo album
Yeah.
went, and so we took a break last year to work on some things with the church, and so got some new music coming out in October that I'm excited about. Got somebody
awesome,
halfway done with the project, and
Man.
church, we just finished renovating our theater. It's just probably the hottest venue in Atlanta right now in terms of different rentals and comedy shows and concerts and recordings, and we
Comedy show, put me in, coach.
yeah
Put me in, coach.
yeah, man. So yeah, so it's exciting.
Man, let me tell you something, man. You was on here a couple of years ago, man, and you said boxes are for things, not people.
Lord have mercy.
And I just you awakened me. And it took me a minute now. I ain't do it right away because sometimes the word, the seed grow. It take a tree a minute to grow.
Yeah.
It might take a few years for a tree to get to a certain height where you even know it's there. So that seed, you planted the seed and it grew slowly. Cause every now and then I hear this small voice like, man, you need to do your comedy, man. You do. And so a lot of preachers would be shaming me, man, why you doing comedy? And then the same people that was talking about doing comedy and man, I'm doing comedy shows, they started having comedy shows at their church. And the only difference is I had a talent to do the comedy. And a lot of, I had a pastor that was telling me, saxophone, preacher ain't supposed to play the saxophone.
Yeah.
I can't sing, I can sing with people. I can carry a note if you just keep me around B flat or F or something. I'm straight. Just follow me. I can't follow you. You just get in my key and I'll be I ain't changing keys on you. Whatever song I'm singing, it's gonna be in the key of F. But my saxophone, now I've been playing my saxophone. I ain't played a lot, but I played it 2-3. I heard a song, oh man, I'm gonna go get my saxophone and I go play. Now, what if I practice? I need to go on and practice, get my lips and my embouchure built up, do my comedy more, man. But I just appreciate you, man. So what I'm telling you is God has gifted you, and he gave people different gifts, and he gave some of us more gifts than others. This man has a movie studio. This man is recording albums, making movies, writing books, winning Stellar Awards, and preaching and doing other things and other business ventures, making sure women who have been under drug abuse or trafficking, making sure that he's taking care of them. A plethora of things that he does in ministry. But people are trying to put you in a box and tell you you're not supposed to do all that because they can't do it.
It's funny you said that because, you and I have had these conversations for years.
Yeah.
How frustrated I've been with you.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Yeah. Yeah, because of the gifts and how incredibly gifted as a leader you are. And the things that you have been able to do here through New Beach Grove and Newport News in terms of the grants, in terms of the partnerships, outreach, feeding people, youth program, basketball, this facility. When I go across the world and I talk to people about building programs, I have, without a doubt, used you as a model and even encourage you, man, write a book on the stuff you're doing and workshops on how you do these partnerships and to bring in other resources to help fund ministry. I've been telling you that for years. And I know sometimes because sometimes you in something, you don't see how great and gifted you are. And to see you come to talk to the leaders, in Atlanta last year at our leadership conference, and just blow the whole room away like it's breathing. It's like it's something you do in your sleep.
Yeah.
God has put all that in you, but I think sometimes when you just focusing on what you do, you can be so close to the forest. And that
well, you're gonna be proud of me, big bro, because I'm writing the book on that, and I'm writing a book on my deliverance process of what I'm going through. Ain't none of your business what I'm going through, but I'm gonna get there. And by the time I end this book, I'm gonna be free because I'm believing God gonna preach me through my stuff, and I'm writing the book as I go through my process. As you mentor me through it and things of that nature. As I talk to different people, around me to help me get through the thorn in my flesh. His grace is sufficient. Yeah. Now, when he says grace sufficient, that don't mean you got to keep doing it. He's saying he gonna empower you to overcome it. Some of y'all, I got a whole bunch of thorns like a rose bush. I got a whole bunch of thorns. You're like Paul. His grace is sufficient does not mean that he forgiving you. He does forgive you, but he's not saying you gonna stay in it. So I'm writing myself out of this. I'm gonna preach myself out of this. I'm doing a series, and it's that, and then I'm doing a book on the workshops and everything. I was gonna say the name of the book, but preacher be stealing
No,
stuff.
don't do that.
So
Please don't.
we can't cast it out there because y'all have been done
But the
got
world,
AI and wrote some stuff in 3 days.
man, the world needs to see what you're doing because, we went a major lawsuit with our church.
Y'all won?
Well, it was the first part of it, man.
That's what I'm talking about, man.
Settled last week, as a matter of fact. And so the first part, we've been able to eliminate $12 million of debt from our,
Man, y'all been what?
And still, it's gone.
Yeah,
They
do.
because we found out we've been defrauded.
Yeah.
But churches all across the country. But, you talked earlier about a church here. It was in a 150-year lease. So the things that you've been able to do, I think it's a shame.
Yeah.
That you got all this experience, whether it be real estate, business, education, humor, pastoring, leadership, and you keep it bogged down in the Willard Maxwell and New Beach Grove. And the reality is, and this is the hurtful thing, there are a lot of people in the Hamptons Road area who won't be excited. who won't pat you on the back.
Wow.
And if your expectation is for your immediate surroundings to be favorable and applaud you, it's going to discourage you. Jesus said, "Prophet is without honor." So don't allow the lack thereof of people who want it, because sometimes the people who need it most won't let you know they need it because of pride and ego that's so prevalent in ecclesial communities.
Yeah.
But there are people around the world, and I've been telling you this, who need what you have, and that's why I'm so incredibly happy and excited that you are finding that space, and that New Beach Grove is giving you room and having leadership so you can think, because God ain't just call you New Beach Grove.
Right.
He ain't just call you Newport News.
Yeah.
You have a global ministry
Man.
and responsibility
Wow.
to share, because a lot of churches and pastors are suffering, particularly in terms of business you know how many black churches now are in danger of losing their facilities because they didn't go into them the right way?
Yeah. Man.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so we need that. Just because you can preach don't mean you can handle business.
Amen.
Reverend.
And so you are, in my opinion, a profound model of what that looks like in terms of the gifts God has given you. And so, for you to do this, sharing with your podcasts and whatever, but there's another level, another call upon your life. And I'm going to keep irritating you and aggravating you until all that comes out, because it's so much.
Me, man. I appreciate the encouragement, man. And I know, hey, that's what I'm saying. I started working on it. I'm working on it. I definitely am. So, anytime you call me down to do that teaching, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to write it up. 'Cause I was like, man, I was trying to get the stuff from you, man. I was like, man, send me that junk. I ain't really write it down, because then when I had it, my daggone computer, they didn't pay for the program they were supposed to pay for it. Some of that stuff, I don't even know. You still got it on your drive or not? The stuff I did, yeah, man. So, man, anyway, so I got to get this stuff written out, and I'm working on it now. So, first of all, let me tell y'all something, man. Y'all got to hang around people that stretch you. Because some people try to tell you what you can't do, what you can't do, what you can't do. You see how he pulling stuff out of me? Because he knows what I'm doing. It's a funny thing, I told a young lady that this morning. You do stuff so natural, you don't even know you're doing it. You saying the same thing I done said to her. Wow. Slapped me right back in my face. And I'm talking to her like, and here he go. It's almost like, I don't want to compare myself to this, but the wicked servant who the man let go with all this stuff. And like, hey, man, talking all this junk. And then the owner forgave him, and then he went and did the same thing. So I'm over here. He done already told me before, and now I done went and told somebody else the same thing. And then here I am. Finally, at least I'm doing it this time, but I can't say he hasn't been telling me. So what I appreciate about him, he gave me a platform. So some people it takes, he let me teach on his platform. I was nervous, I don't know what. And then once I got up there, some of the stuff didn't work. I didn't have it in the right format. See, he laughing over there. We ain't have it in the right format to work in the thing. So when I got up there, I couldn't even use the notes. And so God just showed me, like he said, it's in me. I ain't using no, because I ain't had a note. I said you
didn't need no note.
Yeah, You
didn't need no. It was like you don't get up and say, "Let me read my notes to figure out how to breathe." That's what it felt like.
Yeah, man.
And it revolutionized that entire conference.
Yeah.
Because you doing what
Man,
God has
I
given you.
appreciate it.
And
See,
you,
what
you're anointed for it.
and I appreciate you because y'all like the Dungeon family. You know, I grew up around Outkast and all them. And Dre was just on LeBron James' podcast talking about how they be in the dungeon and Rico Wade, he'll do some stuff and he'll just walk away. Like, dude, that ain't it. And then he's like, felt like it was so disrespectful, but it made them tough because they didn't accept anything feeble. So with this book right here, I wrote a book. He said, yeah, man, everybody write book on leadership. You need to do this other book. Like he said it just like that, dude.
Yeah, I mean,
he was like,
I appreciate it.
he said, yeah, that's good.
It's powerful.
He said it's a good book. Yeah, but dude, this ain't what you need. People need tools to take care of it. So now, I might not. It'll be mostly done by the time I get to you in October, man. I'm gonna have a lot of it written out. I'm working on it now. So I appreciate you, big bro, for telling me and not being nice and treat me like the Dungeon family. Yeah, that's nice, but that ain't what I need you to do. I need you to do this on another level. Like, Negro, you know how long it took me to do this? yeah. It's good, but whatever, Negro. That's nice, but that ain't where your oil at. You know what I'm saying? Everybody got leadership.
Well, you are that. That is all that.
Yeah.
But it's more.
Yeah, I got you. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
She said it nice on camera.
It's the truth.
See, he know how to do it. You know how to polish it up on camera. See, me, I need to learn how to differentiate talking to y'all on camera and being in the streets. So he ain't saying like that. We need the cameras to be rolling when he ain't knowing it's rolling, man. I need you to get me a little camera in my hat.
Why some folk got to tell all your business?
I was just messing. It's all good. Nah, man, I appreciate you, man.
Appreciate
Thank
you,
you,
my
man, to have such a mighty man in the kingdom here, man. See, a lot of times people get too familiar. See, the thing about he my dude, but I ain't gonna get so familiar I don't understand the mantle and the anointing he got. So if I'm calling him asking him questions, I'm asking him questions from a humble side because I know he know more than me and he has more reach than me and he understands ministry more than me. And sometimes people want to be people friends so much that they forget the anointing. And you begin to make people basic and familiar and you miss the anointing. You miss the mantle.
Wow.
I'm going to say this, but I ain't tripping or nothing, but I just got to say this. When I went down there, one of my workers was like, hey, man, Dewey, man, hey, see what you going to get paid. Man, I ain't worrying about that. Do you understand the stage I'm on? Right. See, I like him because he's humble. When I preached at Hampton Ministers Conference, you know what the letter they wrote me? They said the stage is your pay. The Negroes, they ain't watered down nothing. The stage is your pay. And the way they wrote it was like rude to me, but I understood. And so my thing is, when somebody like this calls you and gives you an opportunity to do something, people always worried about money. People always worried about getting paid. Opportunities and people, man, you know how many people bought my book? And I went to what's the conference in Houston, man? IC3.
Yeah.
IC3. Went there, and it was so many people like, man, I know you, because they saw me at your conference and other people were buying my book, and I'm over here in Houston. Wow. And I said, oh yeah, because the only reason I got that account, because I kept wondering where the money came from. The only reason I opened that account was for my book sales to go there. Wow. So people were buying it on Amazon and stuff. I didn't even realize it, and my dumb butt got an account set up just for the book and wonder where the money coming from. Wow. Like God blessing me. No, yeah, he is blessing you, but it came from my book because you gave me a platform, and the ambassador was buying it and telling people in their different cities, and other pastor was buying it because of what the start that you gave me, being the epicenter of the I ain't saying it's exploding because ain't no bestseller or nothing, but I done sold more books than I would have sold because of you. Not yet. But anyway, man. But man, close us out, man. I know I'm ready to go eat. Man.
Yeah, man. We're living in perilous times, guys. And the truth of the matter is, I'm fearful.
Yeah.
And that's why I have to pray to get that fear, because God ain't give us a spirit of fear. I'm concerned. That's a better word.
Yeah.
I'm concerned about our nation and where we're going. When you think about what the country's gonna look like in 20 years for our children and grandchildren and whomever. But at the end of the day, the hope of our nation is not whether your party is represented by an elephant or a donkey. Our hope is gonna be in the Lamb. And Jesus is still the Lamb of God, who's gonna take away the sins of the world. And so whatever you're doing in leadership, in life, money, business, family, if you're in school, if you're something health related, if you're a caregiver, whatever your role or place or position in life, build your hopes, we say, on things that are eternal. We got these old men running for office, but Jesus is the Alpha and Omega, and God is the Ancient of Days, and his sweep is from everlasting to everlasting, and his mercy endures forever. So build your hopes, we sing back home, on things that are eternal, and hold on to God's unchanging hand.
Man, we burned it with fire, but the dewdrop hit the fire, made the smoke, baby. That's what I'm talking about, baby. This is dope, man. It's a wrap. Appreciate y'all.